The scene you see in front of you may be one of the most desperate accidents in the history of human aviation. The captain just went to the restroom and was locked out of the cockpit by the deputy captain, and he controlled the plane and crashed into the mountain. In the end, 150 people were all killed. Thousands of fragments of the scene of the accident scattered throughout the mountain. And this is the shocking case of the German 9525 flight crash. What is the reason for the deputy captain to make such a crazy move? At 10 a.m. on March 24, 2015, at Barcelona International Airport in Spain, an aircraft belonging to a German airline, the 320G, took off successfully. The destination was Düsseldorf, Germany. 27 minutes later, the plane had climbed to an altitude of 11,582 meters. This is when the captain turned on autopilot. Everything seemed to be perfectly normal, but just a few minutes later, Theg dropped to an altitude without permission. The control tower also quickly warned Theg, but there was no response. At this time, the radar showed that Theg had dropped to an altitude of 9,500 meters and was still declining. Then the control center tried many times to contact the crew through different frequencies, but there was no response. Until 10:40 p.m., Theg suddenly disappeared on the radar. This behavior immediately aroused the air traffic control center's alert. They suspected that something had happened to Theg. They randomly launched an emergency alert and launched an emergency rescue operation. A few hours later, the helicopter arrived at the area where the radar signal disappeared. It was found that Theg had crashed in the Alps. This is a desolate area. When people arrived at the scene, the picture was terrible. There were pieces of the body of the plane and the victim everywhere. It was impossible to complete the body. Until the fifth day, the rescue team found the first black box of the plane, but its memory chip was severely damaged and could not restore the data. By the seventh day, the second black box, which was buried under the ground, was successfully found. Fortunately, the data of this black box was complete. When the technicians restored the data, the truth of the desolation was finally restored. The Incident Investigation Department found that the plane dropped to 2,000 meters and crashed into the Alps at a speed of 700 kilometers per hour. Then there was a crushing disintegration. And what's more unbelievable is that this plane was kidnapped. The kidnapper was not a terrorist, but the deputy captain of Theg. What the hell is going on? Now let's go back to 10 minutes before the crash. Let's see what happened. At 10:30 local time, after the captain contacted the control tower, he climbed to a height of 1.14 million meters. At this time, the deputy captain kept urging the captain to the bathroom. So the captain left the cockpit. Then the cabin door was locked inside by the deputy captain. The plane began to descend to a height of 10.34 meters. After the captain returned from the bathroom, he found that the cabin door was locked. No matter how he applied for entry to the deputy captain or used the password to unlock it, he could not get a response. At this time, he realized that the deputy captain may have kidnapped the plane, but he could not do anything. Because before the 911 incident, the cabin door of Theg can be opened from the outside. But since the 9/11 incident, in order to prevent similar terrorist kidnappings from happening again, all Theg not only reinforced the cabin door, but also changed the entry setting. If you want to enter the cockpit, the crew must press the alarm button on the door code to call the cabin crew. After the cabin crew is unlocked, the crew can enter the cockpit. In order to prevent an emergency from happening to the internal crew, the crew can also enter an emergency password. I thought this could be safe, but in order to further prevent terrorist kidnappings, there is also a cover lock inside the cockpit. When this lock is opened, the emergency password cannot be opened. Under normal circumstances, the cover lock is not allowed to be used. And this time, the deputy captain of the plane took advantage of this lock and caused the captain to be locked out of the door. Even if the emergency password is entered, it is useless. So there was a scream of the captain outside, and even a video of him driving the cabin door. Maybe the passengers outside at that time were also confused by the captain's behavior, but the subsequent severe decline would make them feel desperate. In the end, at a speed of 700 kilometers per hour, the plane crashed into the Alps, causing 149 innocent people to die. In addition, the black box also recorded the captain's call. So the question is, why did the deputy captain do this? A year later, the French Aviation Accident Investigation Department gave the final report. The investigation shows that the deputy captain's name is Rubitz. He is a 28-year-old young pilot. He has been living in a family since childhood. His dream is to become a pilot. Although he succeeded in his dream, he suffered from depression for a long time. After investigation, Rubitz was diagnosed with depression. In 2009, he was suspended from flying training because of depression. He found a large number of drugs and diagnostic reports in a recent diagnostic report. The doctor diagnosed that he had severe depression and was no longer suitable for pilot work. But he did not report his psychological condition and was under very strict protection of personal privacy. The law stipulates that the employer has no right to check the employee's medical records, and can only rely on the employee's will to choose whether to submit it. This is also the biggest mistake of the incident. And a month before the incident, Rubitz went to the captain's bathroom and dropped the thermometer and returned to normal before the captain returned. A week ago, he tried to use the safety lock on the cabin door after the captain found out. He asked him why he was doing this. His explanation was that he wanted to see if the lock would work, so he cleared the captain's doubts. In addition, the investigation team also found a large number of flights intercepted and hijacked in his personal computer, and the contents of the flight control regulations of the A320. Therefore, the investigation team finally judged that the 19525 flight hijacking incident in Germany was caused by Captain Rubitz's deliberate behavior, and he was fully responsible for it. After this air crash, the Civil Aviation Bureau quickly implemented new regulations, requiring passengers to have 2 people in the cockpit at the same time to avoid similar tragedies from happening again.